Alright, so how do we peer review the georeferencing map assignment? Well, the first thing is after you've submitted your assignment and after the deadline is passed, the peer review should become available. And so everybody's going to be assigned 3 peer reviews. And there's several ways to access those. Within the assignment itself, you should see in the right-hand panel your assigned peer reviews appearing over here in the upper right corner. You can also go back to the assignments page, and under past assignments, if you look on there, you'll also see the peer reviews that you're assigned to. Now, you're going to need to be a little bit patient at first because I had to extend the deadline a bit to get people time to upload their assignments, so it may be a little delay before you can actually access them to do the peer reviews. But once you have that, you should have at least a week, so I'm going to give the deadline for the peer reviews October 13th. I'd like to have everybody done with their peer reviews by then. So let's say that you have access to them. The first thing you need to do is to download them, and so you want to download them one at a time, and I suggest that you download them to a clean new folder. So in this example here, I've created a temp folder in my desktop, and I've downloaded a couple, or actually 3 zipped files here. And I want to show you a contrast here. If people use the 7-zip program to zip their files, to compress them, you'll see that 7z extension on there. If they zip them in WinZip or some other program, or even within 7-zip, they may have a zip extension that indicates that that's how it was done. But either way, they're essentially opened in the same way. So once you've downloaded the files that you're going to peer review, you need to unzip them. I know it's tempting sometimes to just double-click on a file and look at the contents, but that's not going to work because the files that you're going to open need to call to other files, and everything needs to be unzipped or uncompressed before you can actually do that. So the first thing you need to do is go to a file that you're going to look at, and then if you have the zipping program installed, you should just be able to right-click on that file, go to the zipping program, either WinZip or 7-zip, and then unzip it. Now when you do that, you have a couple of choices here. You can extract files, extract here, extract to. There's a variety of options. If you can extract here, that's usually good enough, and hopefully if the person who zipped it up did it correctly, there'll be a folder that'll be unzipped with all the contents ready to go. So I'm going to unzip extract here, and what that's going to do is it's going to unzip the folder, and it's going to create that file right there, and that contains the contents of that zip file. In fact, if I go into there, you can see what should look like a familiar list of items. So in order to do the peer review, you're going to be looking at 2 things. Essentially, there's 2 different files I want you to look at. One is the render peer review page, which kind of shows you what the map looks like on top of an aerial photo, and that's the one shown by the sample page HTML. So to open that, if you have Firefox Mozilla as your primary browser, you can just double click on it and it should open up, and you should see something that looks like this. Ideally then the map shows up and you can see that it's been georeferenced, the roads line up, and what's done nicely here is that the transparency has been applied so you can see in between the roads. So this is a good sign. This is in fact one of the things you're going to be looking for. In fact, when you look back at the assignment and when you're doing the peer reviews, one of the things you'll be resorting to is this rubric, and the rubric is a way by which you're going to assign points. So one of the things that we're looking for, obviously, that you submitted, there's something to review, that it opens up in MapCruncher. We're going to have to go lenient on that one, so I'm asking anybody to just give the full points, assuming there's something to grade, because there's a couple problems I'm going to have to work through with you that I didn't anticipate earlier. But one of the things that you're looking for here is the transparency was used to allow better visualization, and so clearly the transparency was applied here because you can see through it. Okay, that's one thing. Now, if you don't have Firefox as your primary browser, you could run into a slight problem that might be concerning. So if I open this, for example, in Internet Explorer, you might see something like this, a blank page. It says you can allow block content here, but still what you end up with is just a map in the background, but not the map, not the georeferenced map. And it seems to be a bug in the MapCruncher software. It just will not open in Internet Explorer apparently, and also in Google Chrome. So in order to view this part of it, you'll need to open it up in Mozilla Firefox. So if you don't have that, you should download it. It's free, and you can install it and look at it that way. So that's one thing, and that allows you to kind of assess more visually what it should look like, and ideally it should look something like this, but it'll vary. You're just looking to see that it lines up reasonably and that the transparency has been applied. Okay, that's one part. The second part that you're doing is that you're looking at it within MapCruncher. So if you, easy ways to do this is to go to your programs and open up MapCruncher, and then we're going to open up that yum file that should also be, that YUM file that should be in that folder that we just unzipped. So I'm going to go to File, Open Mashup, and there's the yum file, you can see by extension, and when you open it, it should show up with what looks like familiar image at this point, and we can zoom out. I'm going to expand this a bit, and you should see the control points. You can also again see the RMS error, and in this case, according to the rubric, you're looking for a relatively low RMS error. The goal here, if you look at the instructions, is for the high score, you want to keep your RMS error 10 or less, so 10 meters or less error in the georeferencing, and so that's what you're looking for. So if that person has, you know, numbers that are that low, and this one clearly does, these are down in centimeters, so it's very accurate, then they get the full 3 points for that. So that's what you're looking for too. You can also tell here the fact that there's all this pink, that means that the transparency has been applied. So we saw that in the case of the rendered image on top in the web browser, but you can also see that it's been done here too. So it looks like everything's been done correctly here, so that's great. And that's essentially what you're looking for. So this is pretty easy then. So you just assign the points following the instructions in the rubric for the peer reviews that you have to evaluate. Now in some cases though, other than the browser not opening up, you may encounter other problems. So I want to look at another example here. So I have another one I want to look at, the SSU map that I created earlier. So I'm going to unzip that one as well. I'm going to extract here. Okay, and I'm going to again go into that one, and same process. I'm going to want to look at the rendered image in that sample page HTML. So again, because I have Firefox installed, I can just double click on it and it will open in the proper browser. Okay, so that looks good, right? Same thing. Seems to line up with the roads. The transparency has clearly been applied. That's good. So then now I want to open it up in MapCruncher. And so I'm going to go to here. Oh, wait a minute, here we go. We have an error. So if this happens to you, there's a couple possibilities why it might have happened. One of them is kind of indicated in the error box. If you read the error message, it says that document reference to, and it gives this long address, invalid. Okay, well, after fiddling with this thing for a while, I figured out that essentially it's looking for this SSU campus map JPEG image in the wrong place. It's trying to look up this other folder destination that doesn't exist because it was made on another computer. It's not in this place. So what that means is I need to edit the YUM file, the yum file, in order to fix that problem. Okay, and so in order to do that, I'm going to have to go into that folder with all the data that I'm looking at right now, and I'm going to have to edit this file. Now how do I do that? Well, it turns out it's kind of like an HTML file, so it can be edited with a text editor. So a text editor on a PC is something like the program called Notepad. Notepad, I have it up here because I'm using it right now, but actually if you don't have Notepad up here automatically, you should notice that under your accessories, Notepad should be one of the programs available to you. And Notepad is a text editor, and it's really important here to make the distinction. A text editor is not the same as a word processor because a text editor doesn't add all of this extra coding in the background. So suffice it to say that you need a text editor. Notepad's your best bet. You're going to use Notepad and you're going to open that yum file. So I'm going to go to that folder where I have that problematic file. Okay, and I don't see it right now. That's because I need to change the documents that I can look at over here where it says text documents, change it to all files, and it'll show me everything. So I click on the yum, I open it, and I see this mess. Okay, what I'm looking for here, the thing I need to fix, is this part right here where it says file document file name. This is that part where it's referencing. This is where the instructions are that tell the program where to find the map image. And the problem is that it's trying to find this long address that extends all the way down to here. See, this is all a file path, and it can't find that. So that's the problem. So I need to just essentially eliminate that. I'm just deleting it. And all that should appear after file document file name equals is a quote and then the name of the image. That's it, right? And this image should be sitting in that folder also, because that's what it's going to be looking for. So once you change this line so that it looks like this, all right, once you've got that, then you can save it and close it, and that should fix it. Now the one last thing is, remember, it's looking for that map image, and it should be in this folder, and it's not. That's the other problem. So I'm going to have to go into the source data folder right here, and this is the image I want. For some weird reason, it can't find it when it's sitting there. So I'm going to copy this, okay, and I'm going to put it right here. Not cut it, copy it. Make sure you don't remove it from there. You're just making a copy. Paste it in here, okay. So now I've fixed the path that was in the yum file, and I've added the image where it's supposed to be so it can find it. Now it should open up. So now when I go into MapCruncher, open mashup, find that yum file, and there it is. And now I can do my rubric evaluation. I know that's a little involved, but unfortunately there were a couple glitches there, so I appreciate your patience on that. So that's what you need to do. You're going to open up, you're going to unzip the peer reviews that you have. Once you unzip them, you're going to look at the sample page HTML to look it over to make sure it lines up and that the transparency has been applied. Then you're going to open up the yum file to look at the RMS error in particular. Right? If you encounter a problem looking at the sample page HTML, it's probably because you're looking at it in the wrong browser. It only will seem to open up in Firefox. If you have a problem in opening the yum file, then it's one or both problems, meaning that the path is wrong in the file, you need to edit it in Notepad, and it's missing the campus map image, which you'll need to copy out of the source data file and put a copy of it in here, and then it'll open up. If you have any questions, please post them in the discussion forum, and we'll try to answer them there. Okay? Thanks a lot.